Give this a minute or so, maybe 10 seconds actually, to let Facebook catch up. What's up, people? Joe Bernstein here. You know me, I'm a coach. I work with pretty extraordinary people, pretty growth-oriented, successful people. I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there that like people hire a life coach who need to get their shit together, and I found it's the opposite. It's often people hiring a life coach who have their shit so together that they actually need to create more congruency in their life, or they need to learn to relax more, or they just are like at a next phase, and it's clear that what they've been doing isn't going to get them to that next level, right? So like, I get the privilege of working with people who are extremely growth oriented, who are kind of badasses at creating. And it's really fascinating to see what shows up. So I see I've got one person watching right now. Whether you're watching live right now or you're watching in the replay, if you are a growth addict like me, put a yes in the comments below. I'm going to admit, I'm coming out of the closet here, that I need a 12-step program for growth addiction. So let me tell you about a little bit what that looks like for me. So I came to a realization that a couple of years ago now, 2 or 3 years ago now, that, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm trying to do this thing outside. I got this like beautiful balcony off my bedroom, and I'm trying to do a little more work in it over the winter here. Or wow, I can't even talk. Over spring, because spring is blooming here in DC. So anyway, if you're like me and you're trying to get outside a lot now too, I also want to know about it. Throw a comment below, throw a yes, throw a 1, something like that. But anyway, my point is, we can get addicted to growth. And yesterday I did a video in Drop the Armor Dojo about the cycles of growth, of creation, integration, and destruction. That often it feels like things are falling apart when we're addicted to one of those parts of the cycle. We're addicted to the comfort of integration. We're addicted to the excitement of creation, or we're addicted to the dysfunction at times when we unconsciously have destruction phases in our lives and our relationships. So anyway, I'm a growth addict. I'm a growth addict. There was a time in my life where I never gave myself a chance to really get a lot in life and to create a beautiful life. So what happened was I spent 31 years being a comfort addict, being addicted to stability and comfort and stagnation and complacency. And when I woke up and I realized I could have a great life, I then became an addict around growth, an addict around empowerment. If I was not growing, I didn't want to do it. If I was not learning, I didn't want to do it. I used to like shame myself if I wanted to watch TV, or if I wanted to take a morning to sleep in, even on the weekend, right? So over the course of several years, I've realized that I really can't help people grow the way I want to unless I break my own addiction to being a growth addict. So how do we break the addiction of being a growth addict? Now I see a few awesome people, Harold, David, Diego, are watching. If you've ever felt like you're a growth addict, throw a yes or hand raise in the comments below, because I want to know I'm not the only one. But anyway, essentially, how do we break this cycle? Yeah, David, love this thinking. Yeah, stability, comfort, growth, empowerment, addiction. Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you, David. So we get really addicted to the different phase cycles, and you can check out my comments or my video in Drop the Armor Dojo. I'll drop a link for you to join yesterday about creation, integration, destruction, right? But anyway, yeah, thanks, Mark. I appreciate it, man. I know you know a lot about growth addiction. So anyway, we form these addictions to growing, especially people in the personal growth space, especially people in the spiritual growth space. But we're still in this, like, what I call domination logic of thinking that growth is all about this linear growth. It's all about this progression into something bigger, into something better. And we can actually run ourselves ragged. We can be operating from a place of I'm not good enough and constantly wanting to create more. And I know a lot of really successful people. I was just on a session with a client this morning who about 1.5 years ago, I helped him quit his really, really successful career. His story that he wants to put out in the world is that we can actually be more, we can learn more, and we can do more that's empowering to others by being less focused on constantly creating wealth, right? So anyway, the point is we can get really focused on these external validating elements of growth, which look very, I'm just going to say, they look very capitalist. They look like, how do I have a bigger building? How do I have a better car? How do I make sure I have a more beautiful wife or partner or this or that? How do I have more followers on social media? You know, how am I faster than I was a week ago? How do I bench press more than I did a week ago? How do I become better looking than I did a week ago? Like, there's all these linear and progression-based models of growth that we've been infiltrated with, that our mindset, that our consciousness has been infiltrated with. There's a big-ass truck rolling by right now, so I hope you can still hear me. But anyway, the point is, I see people are responding. I see people are, yes, peer pressure around growth. Everyone is growing instead of just being content. So this is my point. Thank you, Diego. Thanks for bringing me back around to my point, which is, if you find yourself being a growth addict like me, that's not necessarily a problem. What's up, Luke, man? Good to see you, dude. So anyway, if you find yourself being a growth addict like me, that's not necessarily a problem. I don't want you to let go of your fascination with growth, of the aliveness that you feel when you grow. But I want all of us as a species, I want myself to continuously graduate more and more to a place where growth is not necessarily connected to this peer pressure of what looks like attaining more. I want to influence and help myself and the world break their addiction to growth and look at it more as an addiction to expansion or an addiction to evolution. We're hardwired to become constantly better as a species. So what does this mean? In the last session I was working with a client, just like literally 20 minutes ago, we were talking about how he's always challenging himself, well, how do I grow now? He's found himself in a situation where he was in a long-distance relationship, and that was helping him grow. But that relationship is naturally coming to an end in a good way, in a meaningful way. He's in a position where he's in a job that for about a year now that he loves, and he finds, though, it's no longer challenging him. It's very comfortable, but it's very meaningful. It's the most meaningful and fulfilling job he's ever found. So he's in this question of like, well, if I'm not drinking from the fire hose, which I'm really good at, how am I growing? So the challenge I gave to him, which is the challenge I'll give to you, is when you notice that your growth is coming from a place of either not being good enough or just being addicted to the feeling of being alive that comes from growing and expanding and learning and challenging yourself, how do you reframe and reformat your definition of growth? What does growth look like to you in a way that's more whole, that's more freedom-based, it's more love-based, that's more authentic to your values, and not centered around the cultural narratives around growth being around bigger, better, and more. So I'm big on values work, and I do values work with every client, no matter what they're hiring me for. And I used to have the value of growth as one of my core 6 top values. But a couple years ago, I reframed it to expansion. Because expansion means I'm reconnecting with humanity, and I'm constantly growing capacity. But those capacities don't necessarily look like type A growth. They don't necessarily look like success growth. So maybe for you, growing could be allowing yourself to sleep in more during this pandemic. Maybe for you, growing is working on your capacity to relax. Maybe for you, growing is learning more about the parts of yourself that just really want to eat the chocolate ice cream and like letting yourself eat the chocolate ice cream and then watching, like, does guilt show up? Does pleasure show up? Does it actually make me put on weight? Is it just an idea in my mind that I'm putting on weight? Maybe right now for you, if you're a business owner, growing is allowing yourself to live off the abundance you've created in times of feast. And now maybe is some famine time and you're happy to live off the steaks you put in the freezer. Maybe for you, it's not about taking this pandemic to learn, to play guitar and to meditate more. Maybe for you, it's actually taking this time to be like me. Like, it's 12:37. Even though I work from home, before this pandemic, I was never doing a live video in my sweats from having run earlier in this morning without showering and getting dressed and etc. Like, this is growth to me, is going live without having showered or shaved or without having as buttoned up of a message, right? I'm expanding into the part of me that's okay with not looking perfect. I'm expanding into the part of me that allows myself to sleep in more. I'm expanding into the part of me that allows me to do a little less exercise and a little less creation of business and a little more service and connection and a little more downtime. That's the part of me that I'm expanding into right now. So I got a little tangenty in this moment, but essentially what I want you to do is I want you to think about, if you're a growth addict like me, how's the life and this world and this current moment and where the universe is challenging everyone to slow down, to stay at home, to get humble, to chill out. What's the definition of growth that you want to bring into your world in this moment? And how do you lean into that? Is it time for you to actually appreciate and acknowledge more of the destruction phases of growth cycles? Is it time for you to actually get more creative because you can't do the things that you normally did to grow in this world, which might be like go to workshops and go to meetings and like expand your portfolio business-wise by going to a bunch of business networking events? Is it time to actually integrate? Is it time to appreciate the life that you have created for yourself? Is it time to let the lessons that you've learned by being a personal growth warrior for the last 3 or 4 years really live into your spirit, really live into your soul? What does growth look like to you? How do you redefine it for today's world, for your life in this moment, for what you need now? I want to be the guy that gives you permission to make the definition of growth whatever you want it to be in this moment. And to allow this to be a time where you break the addiction that you may have to being in a growth mindset, and you expand your definition. So that's what I have for you today. I really hope this is helpful. If you got value out of listening to me rant about growth and our addictions to growth and my addiction to growth, I want you to drop an emoji in the comments below. Let me know this is creating value. Let me know this is listening, or this is valuable to you or helpful to you. If you want me to do more porch live streams, because I actually dig the rocking chair that I'm chilling in right now instead of standing with my like John Wooden quote behind me. If you want me to do more porch lives, throw porch in the comments. I just want to hear from you. I want to interact with you. I can't go to a men's group and hug 12 people. I can't go to my coffee shop and joke around with the surfers right now. I want to interact with you more. So interact with me via the comments. PM me if this had value. Share it with someone you love. I'll be back later. Thanks for the thumbs up. I see people interacting. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your freedom, whether you're locked in or locked down, or whether you get a chance to go outside and enjoy the nature. Just enjoy the freedom that the weekend is going to provide for you, whatever that may look like. Join Drop the Armor Dojo. I'm going to put a link in the comments. I want to see you in there. And I will talk to y'all next week on Monday. Peace. Enjoy the live stream. I think I put out a new live stream today of live streams. If you're digging that, let me know. I'll keep sharing them. I live right by Rock Creek Park, so I can get down there and show you the creek. Peace. I'll talk to you soon.